Business Focus with Kudzie, Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.
20 minutes up before the news at 8 is our time. Good morning and welcome to Business Focus right here on Capitoka. We have Kudzie on the line from Malaysia, where he is attending the Malaysia International Halal Showcase. Good morning to you, Kudzie, and we should actually say good afternoon to you, Kudzie.
Yes, it's almost 20 minutes to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So yeah, we are already 6 hours ahead of you guys. So we have been up for a for a while now. So yeah, today is day 2 of the Malaysia International Halal Showcase, where the country's trade development and promotion body, Zimtrade, facilitated the participation of several local firms in the horticulture sector, the honey sector, the leather sector, as well as fresh produce and processed foods sector. So yeah, again, just like yesterday, today has been a hive of activity at the Zimbabwe pavilion, where the Zimbabwean firms are based or are exhibiting from. And I must say, our local blueberries, I think they've been, you could call it in local lingo, the talk of town. I think they've been, most of the interest has been on blueberries. At some point, buyers had to queue to have a chance to have a conversation and understand the business from Eden Chess, that is the local company that is exhibiting here the blueberries. Eden Chess, this is a grouping of farmers based around the Mutora Shanga area, and yeah, they've been busy having meetings, B2B meetings at their stand. And hello.
Yes, Kudzie, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, like I highlighted earlier, that at some point, even now as I speak, they're meeting to have their chance to have a conversation with the team at Eden Chess. And then also popular, I think, is the baobab. There is a young lady who is exhibiting baobab powder, and then also baobab candies. So that one also has been popular. And then the honey sector are also very popular, although in terms of honey, I think there are also quite a number of competitors who are also exhibiting, and it will become a pricing issue for that. And then the major highlight, I think, for today as well is that Zimtrade and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the embassy here in Malaysia, they've managed to organize what are known as B2B meetings, where they've been taking the guys, especially today, the local producers of organic products. You know, there is one lady, Lien Shoniwa, who is doing lotions and butter from avocado, lotions from organic products such as the aloe vera and others that she's doing. And so they went for meetings with potential buyers, and hopefully they will be able to penetrate the Malaysian market as well. So I think the B2B meetings are more helpful because you can be able to actually strike deals. So the guys are back at their stands, and again, like I said, it's been an active day, just like it was yesterday.
All right, Kudzie, thank you so much for that update from the Malaysia International Halal Showcase. Let's look at the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, the trading update for Tuesday.
Yeah, so yesterday, I think the ZSC weakened a bit, especially the top 10 counters. You know, the top 10 counters are the ones that move first. When you're going up, when the market is going up, it starts with the top 10 counters, and then when it's starting coming off, it again starts with the top 10 counters. And yesterday, whilst all other stocks, for example, the all-share index was up by 0.59%. The top 15 index also up by 0.13%. However, the top 10 index was down by 0.34%. And then on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, it was positive by 0.64%. Just looking at the top risers and fallers on the ZSC, ZB Financial Holdings was the top riser with a 15% gain rather. And then also ProPlastics followed with a 14.55%. And like I said yesterday, ProPlastics recently released its results, and it seems that investors are happy with those results, given that it has been on an upward trajectory for the past 2 days since they announced their results. Also positive was First Mutual Property, up by 14.01%. Also FML, that's First Mutual Life Holdings, also up by 12.5%. And then you had Citco picking 9.13%. The market, like I said, is showing some weakness, and like I highlighted earlier, it's the big caps that are coming off. So you've got Econet, Delta amongst the losers, but the biggest loser was EcoCash, down by 14.36%. Masimba losing 11.09%. Econet dropping 2.02%. Delta off by 1%, and then also Star Africa losing 0.83%. We continue to see a sizable amount of money being invested. Delta getting about 4.8 million ZIG, Econet getting about 1.3 million ZIG, and then 762,000 went into Kafka, 295,000 went in, and then ProPlastics getting about 278,000 ZIG that was invested in that counter. So I think maybe this week we might see a little bit of weakening of the ZS, probably as a result of profit taking, given the recent gains that we've been witnessing on the stock market. But from what I'm hearing, there's a little bit of ZIG in circulation. When ZIG was introduced, I think we had the amount of money supply in the economy has since gone up by more than 200%. So I think that could be the reason why we continue to see a lot of ZIG in the markets. And then with foreign currency not being easy to get, especially for non-exporters, even for importers, for non-importers, and even for importers, if foreign currency is scarce, they then turn to the ZSC to try and preserve value. So I think that trend is likely to continue unless we start seeing the Reserve Bank coming up with changes in terms of their monetary targets, in terms of monetary policy, especially with regards to how the exchange rate is determined.
I could. With the injection of ZIG yawataura iyi ichatibatsira sei, because chingwa chikuramba chichikwira, zvinhu zvikuramba zvichikwira. So the injection of this ZIG yawataura, how will it help the economy?
Okay, so I was saying that the reason why we're seeing the market going up, the reason why we are seeing the exchange rate depreciating is because it seems that there was an increased injection of ZIG into the market. It could be just through payments that were made, which resulted in some economic agencies, some economic players having excess ZIG on their hands, and their failure to access foreign currency means the exchange means the inflation prices will also go up. So to answer your question, it doesn't help us. It's actually negative when we have got excess ZIG that is in the market, excess ZIG that is looking for a home. It affects us negatively because prices will then go up. That's why I was saying that the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe has to come up with measures that can address the instability that we are seeing in terms of exchange rate, in terms of prices, because that's their mandate to make sure that there is stability. So we expect the central bank to come up with measures that can stabilize what we are witnessing in the economy.
All right, Kudzie, thank you so much for that. Let's look on our last subject for today before you get into your afternoon session right there in Malaysia. Let's look at the update from the post-cabinet briefing yesterday.
Yeah, so it was, I think I saw the post-cabinet briefing, the statement that was released, and there are a few exciting things that I saw there. One of them is now government is working on NDS1, NDS2 rather. You know, NDS1 was supposed to go for 5 years, and by next year it would have come to its end, and then we start with NDS2, which is expected to be the to guide the economic direction for the next 5 years until 2030. So that's NDS2. And according to according to this post-cabinet briefing, the Minister of Finance is calling on those, or is already working on that NDS2. And what they are talking about is they want to come up with what they call the national priorities, which will be crafted by the 15th of November. So by the 15th of November, they would have come up with what they are calling the national priorities. So I think for anyone who wants who thinks that they've got ideas in terms of the direction, in terms of the policies that the Zimbabwean economy should follow, I think this is your chance to engage with the Minister of Finance and proffer solutions and proffer ideas. And I think maybe it's something that you can ask the listeners, Tinashe, to say, what do you think Zimbabwe should prioritize as a nation? Because what they're talking about is here the national priorities. As you see the Zimbabwean economy, what do you think we should prioritize as a country? Maybe it will be interesting to hear from you guys what you think should be prioritized by the economy going into for the next 5 years after NDS1. As we go into NDS2, what should we prioritize as a country, so that we can hear what you say, and maybe we can send this recording to the Minister of Finance and say, this is what Zimbabweans think you should prioritize going into for the next 5 years into 2030. So that's something that came from the post-cabinet briefing. Was interesting as Zimbabwe, when we should take advantage of that and also and participate in the coming up with what should be prioritized, so that we don't leave it to parliamentarians only, we don't leave it to politicians only, we don't leave it to the cabinet only, but we also contribute with regard what should be prioritized by the country. So that's number one that I saw in the post-cabinet briefing. And then another one that is also very interesting is that now government is looking at coming up with what is known as a startup and knowledge-based economic promotion bill. So a bill that is known as the Startup and Knowledge-Based Economy Promotion bill was approved by Parliament, and it will be presented by and it was presented by the Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development. That's Professor Amon Murwira. And I think the proposed principles seek to foster innovation, stimulate entrepreneurship, and propel economic growth by creating favorable conditions for startups. You know, most of the countries that are getting funding for their startups, they have got what is known as a Startup Act. So you've got countries like Kenya, which is getting most of the funding towards targeted for startups. They've got a Startup Act, and several other countries, they've got a Startup Act. And you can actually see the difference between a country that has got a Startup Act and a country that doesn't. In this case, Zimbabwe. And I'm glad that now this conversation is now on coming up with our own Startup Act, and that will promote innovation and entrepreneurship. And you know, there is a difference between a small business and a startup. So kana uchitengesa madomasi, kana uchitengesa muriwo, kana uchitengesa mazepe mtuckshop mako, you are a small business. You are not a startup. So that's there's a difference there. So you need with startups, you need to give the innovators the space to create things that probably are new, completely new innovations, maybe in our country or maybe even globally, and let them experiment, let them fail, but you need to give them enough support, enough incentive so that they can thrive. And also, given that Zimbabwe has got a venture capital, I think there's a venture capital company, I'm not sure the exact name, but we now have a venture capital sort of company, and which is owned by government. And recently, they appointed a CEO, formerly with Zida, formerly with Imara Edwards Securities, and I think that will go also a long way if they can then marry that with the startup act. Then we should be able to start seeing that sector thriving in our economy. And so maybe I'd forgotten that the new CEO is Tino Kambasha. That's the new CEO for this venture capital. So I think we are heading in the right direction if we start supporting local startups.
All right, Kudzie, there is also another one that we're picking up that says that it will soon be mandatory for motorists to first buy a radio license before getting a vehicle license or insurance cover.
Yeah, I think it benefits, obviously. I'm not sure whether the bill is going to be changed or whether they're going to change to say that whatever funds that are then paid towards licenses, you mean the licenses for radio and for radio, right? For vehicles.
Yes.
Yes. So you find that most of our radios, like my car, for example, an ex-Japanese car, you can only listen to one radio station in that vehicle. But when you look at the beneficiaries of that particular of the licenses that we pay is only one. Only ZBC, that they are the only beneficiaries. So I think they need to change that so that all radio stations that can be listened to in cars can also benefit from that rather than just one ZBC. So, or maybe they can then say whatever funding goes to the broadcast. There's a broadcasting authority that is there, like what happens with Potras, where you've got that regulator and an authority. Then the funds, whatever the levies and everything goes to that, rather than one player getting the funding. And yet, when it comes to radio, people are listening to other radio stations that are not necessarily benefiting. That's my own opinion on that one, to say maybe there needs to change that so that all we can develop our radio industry in the country.
All right, Kudzie, thank you so much for Business Focus for today. We appreciate, we understand you need to attend your afternoon session right there in Malaysia. Have yourself a great day and thank you so much. We'll hear from you tomorrow.
Thank you, Tinashe. Thank you for having me.
Business Focus with Kudzie Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.